everyone. Welcome to the Trucking Tower podcast. I'm very excited to be joined today by Blythe Brumleve. Blythe runs Digital Dispatch, and she recently launched Freight School Playbook to help people navigate the world of logistics. How are you doing today, Blythe?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. I'm really excited. I love talking sales and marketing, so I really am excited to have you on today. And congratulations on your co-host role on Put That Coffee Down on FreightWaves. In fact, I saw you on the show today.
Yes, thank you very much. I am their honorary guest co-host for the month of December. Obviously, Timothy Dooner was in the seat beforehand. He has since chosen to, I believe, join not join, but add an additional day for What the Truck programming. So it's really exciting to sort of see that show take off where it is. And so I'm just, I feel like one of those people who just say I'm lucky to be nominated. So I feel lucky to be given the opportunity to be the guest co-host for the month of December.
Well, I really enjoy your media content. It's so awesome. And I've been lucky enough to be on What the Truck a couple of times and
Yeah.
get to know some of those guys at FreightWaves, a great group of people. So that's really cool. For those people who have not seen your media content yet, can you give us like a 1 minute elevator pitch on your solutions and your media contributions?
Sure. So I have been in logistics and trucking for more than 10 years. I started out as an executive assistant with the sports blog side hustle. And back then, I was given the opportunity to run the marketing and the website for a major 3PL here in Jacksonville, Florida. Worked that for about 5 years. Unfortunately, that business closed down, but I stayed working in trucking and logistics, actually expanded my media career into magazine and broadcasting, then found my way back into logistics by launching Digital Dispatch. And with those services, I help companies with their web digital marketing goals. And then with the launch of Freight School Playbook, that is online courses designed to help the busy executives, the busy marketing departments in order to help craft their digital marketing plans internally. So there's both the services and the consulting side of things. And then there's also the courses side of things with Freight School Playbook.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So, I recently tuned into the show where you and Kevin Hill were talking about the psychology of the sales approach
Yes.
and tying that to your marketing strategy and messaging. And I came away with really great nuggets of information that day. What initially got you involved in this world of sales and marketing?
It was actually sort of a trial by fire. I started out as a blogger back in 2007, which was like the early internet days. Twitter hadn't even launched yet. So it was very, very new. And I started it because I felt like I was the only girl who enjoyed sports and video games. So I really started a blog in order to help my girlfriends understand my fanhood in those two areas. And so when Twitter came around about a year and a half later, I got on that platform and quickly discovered that I didn't really need to waste my time trying to convince my friends to like the things that I liked, that there were thousands of other women out there who enjoyed the same things that I enjoyed. So it was really sort of my first, I guess, eye-opening experience that of the power of the internet, the power of social media, and how it can really help out from a business perspective in order to help you make those digital handshakes before you ever meet somebody in person. And so I feel like having that experience in sports and entertainment has really helped me sort of carve my own niche here in the world of logistics, especially when it comes to marketing, because so many things that work in the B2C side of the world also work in B2B because people buy from people. And so
Right.
being able to communicate, your value adds and your propositions and figuring out what problems your audience is facing, that's exactly what I try to do from a social media perspective, from a listening perspective, and then craft those into the services and the products that I offer.
Awesome. Well, you talk about different tones and types of messages on different social media platforms also. How does that work? And can you give us a couple of examples?
Sure. So I kind of made a joke that with LinkedIn in particular, that is where I am the most polished self, but I also feel like I'm still authentically me. I'm still honest. So with not think, I know that I'm definitely honest with a lot of the things that I posted, probably to an annoying degree for some people. So LinkedIn is where I feel like the messaging has to be a little bit more polished, a little bit more professional, because it is still a business social media network. You do have people on there that kind of treat it like Facebook, and I think they're doing that to their own detriment. For me, it's really about providing value to the audience, specifically on LinkedIn, where on other platforms and other networks, you can have a little bit of a different personality. Facebook feels more family oriented to me. Twitter feels like the place where I have met nobody in real life on that platform. And it's just more of I guess, an honest, like a little too honest, where you're almost
Maybe a
like
little
borderline.
snarky.
Yeah, snarky, I would say definitely sassy. Definitely when it comes to like my sports or like Star Wars takes, I'm definitely a little bit more snarky and sassy on that platform. And I probably would never even dream of talking about those two entities on a platform like LinkedIn. Twitter is where I feel like I can let more of my personality fly. I would say definitely from a marketing perspective, you can have a little bit more freedom on Twitter, but there's also that danger of walking the tightrope where you don't want to say anything that might, offend somebody. You want to definitely still, be a good person without being a jerk, because I think that's what Twitter has a really bad rep for. They also have a bad bot problem too, which makes people feel like there's more anger than there really is. So there's definitely some kinks that need to be worked out as far as Twitter is concerned, and really all social media in general. But I do feel like you have to tailor your messaging per each platform. Each platform has a little bit of a different personality where the messaging has to be changed just a little bit, in order to really maximize the value there.
Right. Totally agree. Um, so, outside of business, what is one thing people probably don't know about you unrelated to business that they may be surprised to learn?
Hmm. I would say I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I don't know maybe if you follow me on Twitter, you probably know that. But LinkedIn, maybe nobody else knows. Like right before this call, I just discovered a new TikTok account that devotes the entire account to Lord of the Rings factoids. So I'm sitting here watching all of these 15-second little factoid videos on Lord of the Rings, right before I joined this call. So maybe that little piece is something that a lot of people don't know. I'm also kind of a hoarder when it comes to planners and notebooks. I can't ever have enough notebooks. So if I'm ever at like Target or random stores and I see a brand new notebook, I'm going to buy it if I like it. And even though if I have 15 at home that haven't been used yet. So I'm a little bit of a hoarder in that regard when it comes to notebooks. But I'm true and true. I'm a writer. And so I always feel like I need to have a notebook in every room, because if I don't write an idea down, then I'll lose it. Even in the shower, I have this tool called Aqua Notes, and it's a waterproof notepad where you can actually write ideas down and they don't get lost.
Very interesting. And you also hosted an all women's sports broadcast show, which I believe you said is the first of its kind. Is that right?
Yes, it was a show called Helmets and Heels. When I worked at a logistics company, I was starting out just an executive assistant, also handling the marketing. I worked there for 5 years. And when that company closed down, that's when I was given the opportunity a few months later to work at a local magazine. The local magazine is really where I kind of got my foot in the door as far as like local media is concerned. And so when this opportunity came up, one of the founders at the magazine company found out about the radio show and said, "Wait, you're going to have an all female football show? Like, you absolutely have to meet our editor, because she is a huge football fan and she would be perfect even in a guest starring role." So I met with the radio company. I ended up having lunch with all of the girls who would eventually be the co-hosts as well. And we gelled so quickly that they just they found a space for me. And at first it was just, I was just going to get a segment per show. But the first show, they just gave me the floor and no broadcasting experience, just sit in front of a mic and go. And it was another one of those instances where I was trial by fire, and I learned pretty quickly about the ropes of the radio industry, commercial breaks, producers talking in your ear, things like that. So it was one of those opportunities that I was given, and it was supposed to be a limited role at first, but sometimes when you're given an opportunity, if you seize the day, then you get to do that more in the future. So I kind of attribute that trial by fire for a lot of good things that have happened in my career.
That's awesome. I love that. Um, so what are you working on these days? What are you up to?
These days, I am working on new courses and templates to add to Freight School Playbook. There are a lot of the work processes that I use in my own content creation for both myself and my clients. And so taking those same processes, those standard operating procedures, and adding those as resources to the Freight School Playbook lineup. Right now, we have 4 courses on the site that covers, video casting and marketing, also auditing your website from a digital perspective. So we have a few different courses on the website, but I don't have any templates of what I actually work from. So that's the next big step, is adding those templates, also adding keyword phrases, keyword research. So I think that's where a lot of companies are coming up short as well. So adding in SEO keyword phrases, if you're a carrier, if you're a shipper, if you're a 3PL, these are the different keywords that you should be targeting. So I think that would help out a lot of the different marketing managers. Essentially, I'm making courses that I wish I used to have as an executive assistant. So things that for a lot of marketing managers in this industry, they're wearing a lot of hats. And so for a lot of these people in marketing, it's not even an official position. They're already handling other things. Maybe it's a director of sales that's also tasked with the marketing as well. And they just need to have that clarity. They need to know where they should invest their time, where they should invest their energy. And so that's really how I tried to craft my courses, is to really speak to that busy logistics professional that's already wearing a ton of hats and they just want to cut through the noise. And so that's the clarity that I'm providing for them on that platform. And then also from digital dispatch perspective, always creating new content. We just launched a new podcast last month, the Digital Dispatch podcast. So interviewing guests for that, editing the shows from an audio perspective and a video perspective, and the social media clips that you mentioned earlier that you see online. Most of those I do myself. So that takes up quite a bit of time. And then you have client workloads and things like that. But it's all about time management. And so for the week between Christmas and New Year's is when I spend that time and I block off all other obligations, and I just focus on looking back on the previous year of what worked, what didn't work, and how I can get better in the future. So I'm working on that next week. That's more of the immediate future for me. And we're actually going to be talking about planning your marketing for 2021 on Put That Coffee Down. So it's a good opportunity to sort of take everything that I do in real life and then be able to talk about it with other people, and hopefully help them carve out their own path too.
That's awesome. I've been in that role, sales and marketing. It's like, we need to do some marketing. Okay, let me figure this out.
Right.
So that sounds like some really useful, very useful information. And what's the best way for people to connect with you?
Sure. So they can contact me. I have all of my social media profiles listed on the Digital Dispatch website. That's at digitaldispatch.io. I'm also frequently on Twitter, on Instagram at Blythe Brum, and also on TikTok. You can find me at Digital Blythe. Starting to do more logistics content there. So if you're on TikTok and you want to give me a follow, be sure to check that out. And also the podcast. Just search for Digital Dispatch Podcast in your favorite podcast app, and we should be the first one to pop up. I don't think there's any other digital dispatch podcasts out there. There better not be anyways.
Right, exactly. We'll take care of that.
Yeah, just a quick note.
Well, that's awesome. I love what you're doing. I love sales and marketing, obviously. And And those tools seem really, really useful. So thank you very much for coming on today. I'm going to display all of your contact details and so forth
Oh,
in the
thank you.
video. So they'll know exactly how to get a hold of you. Thank you very much for coming on with me today, Blythe.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time and thank you for thinking of me.
You bet.
Mm,
We'll talk to you soon.
absolutely. Take care.